Hey guys, my name is Jan. I'm the CEO of Acquire.Fi. We have Andrew back in the game. Thank you, Andrew, for coming to the show. What's
Yeah,
up?
thanks for having me. Not much, man. Just doing the usual, trading the markets, reading charts, and yeah. Thanks for having me on again.
No worries. So we're still on the aggregated cycle.
Yes. So we are still following the seasonality trades. This one is specifically for the S&P, usually for the pre-election years. July, the beginning to mid-July was supposed to be pretty bullish. We had this nice little rally. And so now we're just kind of tapering off here. I think if you look, like August is supposed to be a little bit of a sell-off, but later into August, it should create some kind of pivotal bottom, setting you up for the next season. When I look at the technology sector, which is kind of like what a lot of crypto kind of falls into, July was supposed to be a very bullish month, and I think it was for a lot of names. We did see quite a bit of a counter rally from the sell-off in June, and the only thing is that if you look here, we are getting close to the end of July, and this is kind of where the market does slow down. And if you look into August, it also is pointing lower prices. But this should set a pivotal bottom into the next season. So I think the next week and a bit might be a little bit rough, but we shall see.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little bit slower on the fundraising stuff, and overall, like all the Telegram groups are quite low at the moment. Not a lot of things happening, to be honest.
Yeah. So I'm gonna switch to the equities charts. We've had these massive run up through the summer. July was quite bullish, and now we are kind of getting the correction that we needed. Seeing like the equities market being this weak, it's hard for me to think that like crypto would do extremely well. Mainly because they're pretty correlated. I find they're both like risk-on assets, and it seems like risk-on is not really that appealing right now. There's probably going to be a little bit of a gap filling here on the S&P. There's some gaps here that Nasdaq will probably be filling pretty soon, and then these are double top structures and stuff. So the correction is healthy. It's not like the bull market's over necessarily. I think just we're in that seasonal window. And then if you look over on the Dixie chart here, kind of same thing. We had a nice dump, which gave us that really nice rally into the equities market as well as the crypto market. But now we're kind of paused. We are kind of counter rallying here. We have a little bit of like an inverse head and shoulder here. They're not the most strongest signals, but it is a bullish signal. And I'm looking kind of like at these 38.2 levels as resistance, at least the first level of resistance. So depending on how this plays out, if this continues lower, great. If it keeps going up higher, then risk-on assets are probably going to struggle a bit more.
What do you think will happen if dollar will pump?
If the dollar pumps, then most of these
coin will dump.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my theory. They're generally pretty inverse, so that's kind of my gauge usually. And then we can switch over to the Bitcoin Ethereum charts here. Looking at Bitcoin, I've been saying look, this is the short reload zone. This is the level of where you start to see a lot of resistance. So as you can see, price has been kind of failing here. This is more like a V top than a double top. So generally with VTOPs, they do like to get retested, and then if that fails, that will shape out the double top. And since we're in this reload zone, I don't really suggest looking for longs. I'd rather be looking for shorts in these areas. And if we do continue breaking down, I think my first level of support would be around the 38.2 levels. But hopefully we can just kind of carve out a little W here instead, ideally. When I look at the momentum, I do see MACD kind of rolling over now, but there isn't a bearish div, which is a good sign. RSI and the Williams percentage they're not showing overbought conditions either. So that means that there's still a little bit of room for buying pressure as well. So in terms of momentum, there isn't overly screaming bearish signs yet. It's just the price and the location that are kind of indicating that right now. And then when I look at Ethereum's kind of the same thing. We did come just slightly under the 61.8. This is the levels of like where I think major resistance would be, but it looks like it kind of got front ran. Personally, I think right now what we're experiencing is kind of like the sell the news event with the ETH ETF launching today or yesterday, I guess.
Yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah, we got some funds in.
Yeah, I'm in Asia, so I'm a little bit ahead here. But yeah, so right now it looks like this one actually does have a double top kind of forming right now, which isn't what you want to see. You don't have any like bearish momentum. I mean, the thing is, I do see a bear div on the RSI. That's a little bit bad. We didn't hit overbought conditions, which is good, but we are pretty close to it. So right now I see a little bit of a bear div. I do see a double top, and we did kind of come close to the underside of the 61.8, which is the starting of the short reload zone. So this is a little bit alarming. Obviously, we don't want to see this break down too hard. If it does, 38.2s are where I'm going to look for, the first kind of stop support. And then, hopefully it holds there. If not, then we might have to kind of chase down these like reload zones, go after these tails perhaps again. But let's see what happens. The ETH ETF just launched. Maybe, throughout this week into next week, we can see a little bit of rally. But, like I was saying earlier, the seasonality window for the market is kind of closing here. We are supposed to expect a bit of a sell-off now. So.
Yeah, and good notice. I'm going to share my screen here. So first of all, Empty Gox has started now paying back all the customers. Josh, who is one of our Acquire.Fi Tier 5 members, is also a very prominent journalist that has been covering this news. But I think the Empty Gox is the final demon. Like, once Empty Gox has distributed all this BTC and Ethereum and other things, I think we're going to be quite bullish. And there's also FTX claims still to be distributed. So I think you're totally right. Like with the seasonality, August is going to be very slow, probably. But after that, there's a lot of bullish news coming out. But there are still demons. Empty Gox is one of them. And obviously FTX, I think some of them will dump. I don't know, but I think because of Empty Gox has been basically paying out, we're seeing a little bit of a momentum. And also, if you go to the BTC ETF flows, we had an amazing month, like almost $200 million every day. That's a lot compared to other months. But then yesterday we started dumping. So I think this is because of Empty Gox. But overall, good month. July, like for me, everyone are away. We just had a call before having this podcast with one of our friends, and he was saying the same thing, like, hey, it's only memes that people are trading. Nothing is really happening. And if you go to the Fear and Greed index, it jumped quite high. And usually when it jumps high, something will happen. And obviously now we're dumping. But yeah,
I mean, it looks like we're coming into the greed part there. So I mean, it does kind of make sense that we are selling off, because you generally use those indicators as the inverse, right? You want to buy when there's fear, you want to sell when there's greed. And with the Mt. Gox stuff too, right? It's like, when the Germans were selling all their coins, the minute they finished selling all their coins, the market pumped, right? So I mean, I think that will probably be the same case with the Mt. Gox stuff. Once they're finally fully distributed, everyone's got their tokens and whatnot. We might see a counter trend rally. So let's see.
No, I agree. Overall, the total market cap is still downwards trending. Like, if we go back here, like, I just want to show you also, like we're still quite far away from the top in 2022. Like, in 2022, the total market cap was 1.7, and we haven't been able to top it during this run. So I'm kind of curious what will happen once we get these enemies all of our way. So for example, Empty Gox and Germany is now out, and I don't know. I think in the end of the year, there's going to be a lot of bullishness. But what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, the election should really help with the market volatility. We do expect a bit of a pump. I mean, I think we should be able to at least hit like all-time highs, with the election. But I mean, famous last words, right? Like, I don't have a crystal ball. Who knows what happens? The market does look a little bit toppy. I rather see W's than M's forming. But yeah, I mean, I'm also looking at like the dominance charts too, and it looks like the alt indexes are starting to pull back. So the Bitcoin dominance is starting to come back up versus alts. So I do see a little bit of weakness there. And then you look at the total crypto market cap, and it looks like the Bitcoin chart. We came back, tested the highs again. Now we're just kind of like pulling back. So we might just have to like keep playing in this little range back and forth. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think people will have like mini rallies, but especially now, like I've been having quite deep conversations with my fellow VC friends, and they're all saying like the return what they got this year from their seed and angel investment have been very low compared to other years. So this might be a very weird year, to be honest, with all these ETFs. Space is definitely maturing, which is good, but also the returns are not the same as was before.
Yeah. I mean, the meta of the cycle is completely different, right? It's like how we were saying. It's like mostly just like in memes right now. Nobody seems to care about tech or utility, which is unfortunate. But
there's no really use cases anymore. So what about on the altcoin markets? What are you looking for?
I'm just looking for setups, right? Like anything that comes within my setups. Like here's one trade that I was liking last night. We had a market call at Magnus. We do one every week internally, and then we kind of make these reports and send it out to our partners. So this is one trade that I was liking. The first time I bought this trade was down here. We had this nice like W. We had this bullish divs, and then it was a reload zone off of this range. And so, I got a nice double off, waiting to hit another double off that as well. And so basically off this range, I figured like, hey, we're back into that 78.6 level. We do have the bullish divs working here. We nearly hit oversold conditions, not quite, but I do like seeing these little W's coming into the indicators as well. And then we have a little double bottom that just popped up here. So this is like kind of a double bottom here, and then it's also retesting the original breakout. So I figured this would be kind of a decent trade. Obviously, it's not a meme coin, but I think you can still hit a pretty decent trade here.
You want to go through a little bit, like how do you scout this? Like, what's your process like? Because I'm very interested in like the FDV is 2.2 million. The market cap is only 5 million. I mean, this is very micro cap. Like, what's Magnus Capital's thesis on going into these different trades?
Generally, like small caps are nice to hit. When I play in the stock market, I generally just play small caps. They're the ones that usually run pretty hard, the hardest. But like for us, like we try to look for decent projects. A lot of it is TA based as well. So like I look for a chart. There's 3 specific measures that I look for. There's location, momentum, and structure. So location would be like using fib retracements and figuring out what levels are considered like good areas to buy or good areas to sell. So with me, when it comes to fib retracements, the 61.8 to 70.6 is kind of like what we call the reload zone. This is kind of what I learned from the rationalinvestor.com. It's kind of where I did all my training. And then the next part would be momentum. So after you figure out your location, you look at the momentum. So you look at your studies. I use the MACD and the RSI. So for momentum, you want to see a bullish divergence if you're going long. And ideally, you want to see like oversold conditions. We did kind of come pretty close to it, but it wasn't like officially in oversold conditions, I would say. But it was close enough for me. And then mainly we had the bullish divergence on the MACD. and then structure. Structure would be like price pattern. So for me, I really like hitting double bottoms, and double bottoms are essentially these like W-shaped patterns. And then I usually enter it on the confirmation or the breakout of the W, which is on that neckline. And then it's just simple like risk management. We usually have a pretty strong rule where we don't invest more than 5% in one trade, and that just helps kind of mitigate your losses if things ever get broken. And then we have our stop loss pretty much based on the market structure of the double bottom, and then generally we try to hit doubles. Yeah.
Got it. What about the big caps? Like let's say Solana.
Yeah, same principle. Like I can show you a Solana trade that I have on right now.
I'm very curious how that looks like. Solana has been actually recovering pretty well, to be honest, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it looks pretty strong in my opinion. Let me see if I can share this tab. Okay, so this one's a little bit of a different setup that we use. It's kind of like you're playing off of this like idea of a harmonic setup. Like there's a harmonic setup called like the AB equals CD pattern. And so what we're doing is normally with those harmonic patterns at the end of the move, that's when you start triggering like the position, right? So in this case, it'd be a short once you hit the top. But for us, what I learned from the TRI is that you can actually play that harmonic setup on the way up or on the way down before the actual PRZ. So for me, you have these levels drawn. Essentially, it's like what do you say? You pretty much clone the range here, and then I'm saying that this range is going to be the exact same moving up forward if the trend continues, because it is like a harmonic pattern. And so for me, I do see a lot of these like W's coming in, right? A lot of W's here. There's also another big W that came in here. So obviously this area is like an area of interest, as well as you had the 200 SMA coming here as support, which held. It also came up to 30.2s, which is what we also call the first stop. This is where prices will consolidate if it wants to continue to trend up, right? So seeing that the 30.2 levels kept holding, it did consolidate. Initially we had a little pop off, it tried to sell off, but it came back. And so now,
did you guys buy?
Yeah, this is a trade that I have on live right now.
Oh, okay. So you guys all
have it on my personal, and then I have it on the Magnus fund as well.
Oh, nice.
And so generally, you want to enter on these like 0.25 lines, and then these are your targets. Like once price hits 0.5 here, you move your stops to scratch. Once you hit 0.66, you start moving your stops to trailing, and then ultimately you want to hit your target. And when I saw this trade too, I was like, okay, sick. My profit target is exactly a double from down here, buying this W. And if I'm playing this harmonic setup, then, hitting a double at the end of the target is also like very appealing to me. So, Solana's been very strong. I don't recommend chasing it up here. We are in overbought conditions now. So, prices is going to probably pull back a little bit. But yeah, I think it's pretty strong here. I think, if price breaks above here, that's even another bigger W, which is like, very bullish signs, right? Like that's a pretty big wide W if that breaks out. So I feel pretty strong about Solana. Solana is obviously very hot right now too, with all the, meme coin stuff going on.
Of course.
So, yeah.
What else have you been up to? Like, what's your biggest position at the moment, and why?
I think my biggest position is probably Aerodrome. Mainly because Aerodrome, we hit a pretty big 60x on this one. So we bought it way down here a long time ago. Let's see if I can even pull it up. Way down here.
Good for you guys.
Way down here. So, I saw the market come, rinsed out, seeing all these levels, seeing these W's, right? So we actually bought the breakout here, mainly because I was like, look, it cleaned up this massive tail. Whenever these initial coins launch, you always get the, like a massive sell-off. And generally, once the initial tail gets cleaned up, that's when I'm like, okay, that's the bottom. So we had these nice little structures. We hit it, and then off we went. This is really popular because it's like kind of like the first like deck swap on base, and so it's kind of like the first mover kind of play. And so generally with us, like I didn't hold it all the way till 60x. What I usually do is like I'll sell on my way up. So every time we hit a double, I'll sell a portion, and every time it doubles from there, I'll sell another portion, and so forth. So we pretty much hit it up to 60x, which is great. So the next like sell target for this guy on this first trade would be at like a 12x. But generally, what I saw was like, okay, I like this name. We did really well. It's probably going to perform again. So I just do a reload zone from the bottom of the range again, top of range. So I look for my location. So 61.8 to 70.6. This is the purple box. If you read some of our market reports from a few weeks ago, I was saying that we were eyeing the 70.6 as the ultimate bottom. And it actually played out exactly as we expected. I actually didn't have the trade on, though, which sucks because that would have been such a good level. Mm-hmm. But then I saw, okay, hey, look, there's a W being formed here. And so I was like, fuck it. It's still within the reload zone. We have the bullish divergence. We have the oversold conditions. And so I put on another trade, and then off we went. So this one's still playing out, waiting to hit a double on this trade. We are pulling back now, and we are back into the reload zone. So just kind of eyeing and seeing how this market plays. Really depends, I guess, like how ETH and Bitcoin does. A lot of this market is dependent on how well those kind of stay up. So yeah, this one's definitely my biggest trade. I think bananas also are like second biggest holding, mainly because like we're up quite a bit on it. We're up 10x on this one. Oh yeah, here, let me share this tab. There we go. So same idea, we waited till the market came back, washed it out, bought the little W there, and then off we went. This one is worth a lot more because we didn't really sell too aggressively on this one. We took our initial out at the first double, and then once it hit like a 6x, I took a little bit extra profit as well. And then I just recently took some profit at the 10x bar. And it's still worth quite a bit in our portfolio, as well as it also prints out some like API just to hold. So we're getting some Solana and Ethereum rewards, which is nice. And the main reason why it really blew up is because it also just got recently listed on Binance. So.
Oh, that's always good.
Yeah. And I think I put in the top by selling a little bit here, so I do apologize to anybody who's in that trade.
It's okay. I think this is good. When are we going to see you again? Next week?
Yeah, probably next week or in a week or two. I mean, yeah.
All right. Yeah, exciting times in the market. Thanks for coming to the show, Andrew. Always good to see how much you guys are making money. Awesome. Hitting those bullseyes. And yeah, please join Andrew's Telegram channel and so forth. Hey, please like and subscribe. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.